You guys have been blowing up my comments, my inbox, everything, wanting to know more about crime here in South Carolina. Chad, talk more about crime. Where are the most dangerous spots in South Carolina? How bad is it really? And where does Columbia fit in all of this? So today we're actually going to be breaking down the top 10 most dangerous cities in South Carolina based on total reported crime. Now this is the violent crime and property crime over the last 5 years. And at the end, I'm going to break down what crime actually looks like right here in Columbia, South Carolina, plus a couple of cities that are absolutely crushing it when it comes to safety. So if you're thinking about moving anywhere in South Carolina, granted, I'm right here in Columbia, but don't click away, because where you live and where you buy a house is a lot more than granite countertops. It's about feeling safe walking in from the car at night. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Chad Dorman, your local realtor right here in Columbia, South Carolina with eXp Realty. I help folks from all over the country figure out not just where to move in South Carolina, but where life is actually gonna feel good. All the way from schools, commute, lifestyle, and yes, crime. If you're new here, I've already got a full playlist on Columbia, Irmo, Lexington, Chapin, Lake Murray, Blythewood, all the popular suburbs, and I break them down from cost of living, neighborhoods, new construction, all of it. Check my playlists. You can see I've got them separated from suburbs and whatnot too. You can go ahead and share those videos with people. I'm always looking to help many people. Then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tap that notification bell, and if you want to talk more about your move one-on-one, my number and email are in the description. Call, text, or email me anytime. And yes, it is me that is answering the phone call. But better yet, go ahead and click on my calendar link right there in the banner. We can talk face to face, and I really get to know you a little bit better. Other than that, let's get into it. Before we start throwing cities under the bus here, let me explain just how I pulled this list so we're not just fear-mongering. I looked at many things. I looked at state and FBI-based data sets that roll up crime per 1,000 people. That's violent crimes like murder, robbery, aggravated assault, plus property crimes like burglary, theft, motor vehicle theft. 5-year patterns from 2019 to 2024 in most of these cities, total violent and property crimes and how they compare to the national averages. And I layered that on top of South Carolina's overall trend. Violent crime is actually down about 6% year over year right here in South Carolina. And property crime is also down about 6% as well year over year. So crime in South Carolina has been trending down, even though we still sit above the national average in both categories. A couple of real important caveats. These are citywide averages. There are always safer pockets and rougher pockets inside every single one of these places. There are good people and good neighborhoods in all of them. This is about helping you make smarter decisions if you're buying a house, not labeling anybody's hometown as bad, like looking at days on market. It tells you what's typical, not what's true of every single house. All right, we're actually gonna start from number 10 and take it all the way down to number 1. And remember, this is total crime, violent plus property crime. Number 10 is Marion, South Carolina. Total crime is about 64 crimes per 1,000 residents. Now the bigger issue here in Marion is property crime, thefts, burglaries, violent crime, layered on top of a violent crime rate that's elevated, but not as extreme as places like Orangeburg or Hartsville. So data and local reports suggest Marion has ongoing property crime issues, but it's not sitting at the same top of the violent chart spot as some of the others. Now, if Marion's on your radar, don't forget, same type story, you drill down to the neighborhoods, not just the city label. And listen, as I go through these, give me a comment. If you live in one of these towns or cities, you know more than I do. Statistics tell a good story, but it's not always the story. So let me know. Share it with people you know that are in these cities. I would love to know exactly what each person's take of it is. I'd love to help you move there if one of these is yours, and we can deep dive into it even more. Number 9, Lancaster. Total crime is around 66 crimes per 1,000 residents. Clearly elevated, but not as extreme as the top of this list. Both violent and property crime sit above national norms, with property crime driving most of the numbers, same as it did with Marion. It's not that far off Marion. Now, looking across the 5 years, Lancaster looks more like a steady high city than one in free fall. Crime's elevated, but not spiking in some crazy way year over year. So it's still one of the more dangerous cities by the stats. But with the right neighborhood selection, you can absolutely live there safely. Number 8 is Myrtle Beach. Now, no surprise to a lot of you, Myrtle Beach has always had a reputation for high crime for a very long time, especially when you adjust for the tourism head count. I mean, from 2019 to 24, the 5-year averages show over 8,000 violent crimes and over 15,000 property crimes reported. Now, that's violent crime at about 160% above national rates and property crime around 170% above. Here's the twist though. Myrtle Beach PD reports that overall crime is down nearly 50% since 2015. And even categories like motor vehicle theft have improved from 2023 to 2024. So yes, it's still one of the most crime-heavy cities in South Carolina on paper, but the trend line is actually improving. It's kind of like Airbnb that looks incredible in the photos. Beautiful beaches, lots of jobs, lots of short-term rentals, and still an above average amount of crime you need to account for. Now, I grew up going to Myrtle Beach all the time. You've heard me say in many of my other videos before, my dad's from Conway, my mom's from Myrtle Beach. They met in Myrtle Beach. And again, remember those pockets that you're talking about. I know many people, especially the golf courses and different things too, it's pockets of crime where you're at. It's still a very heavy spring break place for you to go and all too. Know when your kids are going down there. Know where they're staying. I had a lot of good times in Myrtle Beach, but at the same time, be wary too. Know where your kids are. Know where you're at, all the way from Broadway at the beach to different spaces too. I've never witnessed any kind of crime in Myrtle Beach myself, and I'm 51 years old. Still a great place to go. Just do your stats before you go. Tailor it down to the neighborhood. Call me. I know Myrtle Beach pretty well. I know the areas. Give me a call. Shoot me that text. Comment. I know everybody's going to Myrtle Beach, so share this with plenty of people that they can know as well. All right, number 7, Dillon. Total crime. Overall rates in the 6,000 to 7,000 per 100,000 range. Well over double the national levels. Your odds of being a victim of violent crime are around 1 in 54. Whereas your odds of being a victim of property crime, 1 in 20. What does that tells me is if I'm gonna be in Dillon, I would do it in some of the safest cities, but I would definitely have a security system in my house. There's enough technology out there now, you should be able to keep up with this more. Now, in the last 5 years, Dillon has seen more than 1,600 violent and 2,300 property crimes, with property crime especially far above the national average. So Dillon's story is heavy on burglary, theft, and vehicle crime, on top of elevated violent crime. All right, number 6, Darlington. Recent reports put total crime in Darlington at roughly 7,000 crimes per 100,000 people. That's more than 230% above national levels. Now, the 5-year averages show violent crime is around 260% above the national. Property crime is about 120% above the national. Now, over 5 years, you're talking more than 1,600 violent crimes and over 1,900 property crimes in a relatively small population town. That's a lot of crime density. There's no big "we fixed it" trend yet. It's more like a stubbornly high plateau. So again, if Darlington's on your list, you want to be very strategic. Number 5 is Hartsville. One data set has Hartsville at around 119 crimes per 1,000 people. That's over 3 times the national average. Violent crime is roughly 1,700 plus per 100,000, which is almost 300% higher than the statewide violent crime rate. Our statewide's already high, and you're doing that, you're 300% above the state violent crime rate. And property crime, it's about 61 out of every 1,000. Over the past 5 years, Hartsville has recorded about 1,900 violent crimes and 2,500 property crimes, which puts that average violent rate at more than 5 times the national average. Hartsville's a college and community town with festivals, sports, all that good stuff, but crime is absolutely a part of their story as well. If you're considering Hartsville again, you don't just look at the city name, you look at the block. All right, number 4, Orangeburg. Now this should be as if you are here if you're born and bred in South Carolina, should be no surprise at all. Orangeburg's there. It has been for years running. There are over 130 crimes per 1,000 residents. That's far above the state and national averages. Violent crime has been clocked at over 1,200 per 100,000, almost 3 times the state average. Now, property crime is around 65 per 1,000, which of course is a whole lot higher. Orangeburg has been at or near the top of South Carolina's violent crime charts for multiple years running. It's a college town with a rich history and some really nice streets. But the data says violent crime is a real concern. And it hasn't magically gone away just because the state overall is improving. If you're looking at Orangeburg, you want a very targeted neighborhood level strategy. Now, I have sold homes, I've sold property, a number of different things in Orangeburg. So definitely give me a call if you're looking at this area as well. And again, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get as many people as I can on here so I can really help even more people each day. Number 3 on the list, Spartanburg. Now, depending on the source, you're looking at 80 to 110 crimes per 1,000 people. Still well above the national average. Odds of a violent crime are 1 in 63. Odds of property crime are 1 in 15. Spartanburg PD's own numbers show there are about 2,950 crimes in 2023, which is actually just about 3% above their 10-year average. Property crime is a little up, and violent crime has basically been flat over the decade. So Spartanburg's one of those classic 2-story markets. On one side, you've got revitalization, breweries, lower cost of living, new housing, BMW money in the county. And then on the other side, you've got crime numbers that are still stubbornly high. Again, doesn't mean you can't live there. It just means don't go in blind. Number 2 is Walterboro. Around 87 crimes per 1,000 people. Again, near the top of the state. Violent crime has averaged about 230% above the national level the last 5 years. Property crime, even worse, about 280% above national rates. Over 5 years, Walterboro has seen more than 1,100 violent crimes and nearly 1,800 property crimes. And you've probably seen some of the headlines around the shootings and high-profile cases recently. They call it the front porch of the low country. But the crime numbers tell a little bit different side of that story. If you're moving there or investing there, you absolutely want to sit down with a local expert. Pull up some crime maps and really focus in on the specific pockets that feel really safe and stable. And now, number 1, I would give a bugle intro, but I really don't think anybody wants to be the number 1 city when it comes to crime. It is Union. Total crime, about 92 crimes per 1,000 residents, one of the highest rates in the entire state. Violent versus property. The odds of being a victim of violent crime, about 1 in 96. And property crime, 1 in 12, with roughly 82 property crimes per 1,000 people. Over the last 5 years, Union has logged over 1,800 violent crimes and about 2,400 property crimes. And those violent crime rates are more than double the national average. So what does this actually mean? Union's a small, historic mill town with a charming downtown core, but the numbers are rough. Violent crime is high, and property crime is even more common. If you're looking at Union, you don't just say, I'm moving to Union. You zoom all the way in, street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood, and build a very intentional plan. This is one that you really want to give me a call. I know doctors that have lived there. I know employees that have lived there. I know people who are police department there. I know a lot of people in Union. What they say, if you remember the Susan Smith story, that took place in Union. So you definitely want to know your figures and what it is about this town that makes it. But then also talk to some people that are from Union. I'll be glad to hook you up with those calls so you can, and they may even tell you a different story. Again, it's not always about the stats. A lot of times it's about those personal stories, but never ignoring the stats. So now for a little bonus information. What about Columbia? This is where I sell real estate majority of the time. I have done homes in the upstate, even though I am licensed throughout South Carolina, but I have done homes in the upstate. I've even helped someone look at some homes in Charleston, and I've done them through Orangeburg, through a lot of different places, so I know it real well. But what I sell mostly is Columbia. This is the city I talk about all the time on this channel. Is Columbia a dangerous city? Short answer, Columbia definitely has more crime than the national average, both violent and property. This is a real city. It's not Mayberry, but we are not on that top 10 most dangerous cities in South Carolina's list either. Now, a lot of your bigger cities are not, all the way from Charleston, Greenville, Columbia. Spartanburg's one of the bigger cities, but and it is on there, so you gotta wonder why a lot of times. Recent estimates put Columbia at around 48 crimes per 1,000 residents, higher than the national average, but lower than places like Union, Orangeburg, Walterboro, Hartsville, all the ones I just went through. And here's the encouraging part. Columbia's PD 2024 report, property crimes are down 9% in 2024 versus 2023. Property crimes are also down 9%, violent crimes down 8%, and the number of people shot down about 40% in a single year. That lines up with what we're seeing statewide. Violent crime and property crime in South Carolina have both been trending down. I'm not trying to make excuses because I sell stuff here, but again, you've got to look where you're at. Some of these safest cities are going to be right here. Now, when you're talking about Columbia, you're talking about Columbia city limits where a lot of these figures are coming from. And I've told you before, 90 to 95% of people move to the suburbs. They don't move downtown. You've got to pull it further in to neighborhoods, to the cities, to the suburbs. You don't just pick Columbia on a map. You pick a neighborhood. Crime looks very different in Irmo, Lexington, Chapin than it does a couple of blocks downtown at 2 a.m. That's where having a local realtor who actually lives here and drives these streets every single day matters. When I'm working with you, we'll look at school zones, lighting, traffic patterns, where you're in and out of your car at night, not just the listing photos. I will tell you, I have never let one of my clients, technically I'm not supposed to say anything as a realtor about things, but I can recommend that you look at PD or police department stats in each city. And in doing it like that, I have never let any of my clients move to a bad area when I've grown up here all my life and know it. Now, we would be truly amiss in doing a top 10 most dangerous cities if we didn't give a couple shout outs to some of the most safe cities right here. Now, I don't want to just scare you with crime stats all video long, but let's talk about a few places in South Carolina that consistently show up on the safest cities list. Lexington, South Carolina, right in my backyard. I do a lot of homes in Lexington. It's one of the highest population suburbs in all of Columbia, and yet still one of the safest. It's regularly ranked in the #1 safest city in South Carolina in multiple reports. Some data shows almost zero violent crime per 1,000 residents in certain years and very low property crime, well under the state averages. No city's perfect, but in terms of numbers and stats, Lexington's about as good as it gets. One other one that's got a little special mention also is Fort Mill in the Tegakay area. Up closer to the North Carolina line. This is where a lot of people are maybe going to work in Charlotte, but they're living in South Carolina for the different advantages that they have there. Fort Mill is safer than over half the U.S. cities, with both violent and property crime well below state and national averages. Tegakay shows up near the top of those safety lists all the time too. Planned communities, lake access, and very solid stats. So if you're thinking, Chad, I want South Carolina, I want it with training wheels on in terms of crime, these are the types of places where we're going to look at first. And yes, I help people buy in all of those spots as well. Now, the bonus stuff I was telling you about that I was going to surprise you with, I'm going to do this real quick, but many people, they look at property crime different than they look at violent crime. They really don't want to be in a city with violent crime. And let's face it, most of the people on these total property crime and violent crime lists are not as high in violent crime. So I want to give you the top 10 list of ones with violent crime. Now, number 10 is Myrtle Beach. Number 9, Darlington for violent crime. Number 8, Sherrill. I'm not even going to give the figures on this. Call me and I can tell you more about this. Number 7, Orangeburg. I told you that one, it's been known for it here in South Carolina, that and Myrtle Beach. Clinton comes in 6th on the list. Number 5, Spartanburg. It surprises you. Some of them do. Surprised me when I was looking these up on some of them. Number 4, Chester. Number 3, Hartsville. Number 2, Lake City. And then the number 1 for violent crime is Dillon, South Carolina. I figured you would want that as just some bonus material, that these are just by the violent crime and not by just the total of property crime and violent crime. You can do with that what you want, but call me if you want even more information. So here's the big takeaway. South Carolina as a whole still has more crime than the national average. It's just the truth. But violent crime's trending down, property crime's trending down. A lot of the worst numbers are concentrated in smaller, lower income towns where you've got decades of economic challenges stacking up. Now the ones like Spartanburg, I really have no explanation for that. You would have to dig into more than that. That's one of the bigger towns, but yet it's still high on violent crime and high on property crime. And even in the so-called most dangerous cities, there are pockets that feel completely different once you're out there in person. Many times I tell people, if they're really worried about a certain neighborhood or something, go there during the evening. See how many people are out walking their dogs. See how many people. Go knock on some neighbors' doors. I kid you not, I have clients that do this. Go knock on some neighbors' doors and ask them what their experience is in this neighborhood. They may have been in that house for 50 years and you hit the jackpot when getting to know this stuff. If you're thinking about moving to South Carolina, especially around Columbia, Irmo, Lexington, Chapin, Lake Murray, Blythewood, don't let one headline or one list be the thing that makes your decision. Crime stats are a tool, just like days on market or interest rates. Use them. You don't live in fear of them. If you want help breaking down the neighborhoods, which neighborhoods are going to feel safe for you based on your budget, your schedule, kids, no kids, how late you're coming in home at night, that's what I do every single day. So call me, text me, email me. All my information's in the description below. We can hop on a quick Zoom, talk through your budget, and I'll literally pull up the map and show you where I'd buy if I were you. If this was helpful, click that like button, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this, and drop me a comment. Which South Carolina city surprised you the most on this list? I'm Chad Dorman, your Columbia, South Carolina Realtor, and I'll see you guys in the next video.